Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Kent, where our mission is to inspire love, work for justice, and grow together in community. This is a place you can bring your whole self. I'm Kathy Kearns, today's worship associate. We're pleased to have Elizabeth Riley with us today as our worship leader. Yeah, many of you know Elizabeth. She serves as a commissioned lay minister in the Unitarian Universalist Church of Akron. Welcome, Elizabeth. Our Director of Religious Education, Colleen Taylor, and our Music Director, Emily Hall, are also part of the worship team today. It takes a village to bring you this service. We are grateful to the musicians, tech team, sound team, slide preparer, and greeters for their help with today's service. And now, as we resettle for service, I invite you now, come, let us worship together.
Such a gift, this community and your musicians. Here it comes. The leaves and the snow have fallen. The time has changed, and we prepare to enter the season of traditions, of gratitude and warm, fuzzy feelings, of grief and uncomfortable, guilty feelings. 'Tis the season of longing and belonging. Yeah, it's complicated. And so we come here to build loving, inclusive community that does not end at our tables or our church doors, to learn how to be fully human, to face the past, the present, and the future with honesty and commitment, because, yeah, it's complicated. Come then, and let us worship together. Lighting our chalice is a tradition of our Unitarian Universalist faith. Our chalice unites us in worship, reminds us of our search for truth and meaning, and inspires hope for a more just world. As Stella lights our chalice, I invite those of you on Zoom to light your home chalice. And please join with me in reading your church's covenant. We affirm that each life has brilliance, and when joined with others in joyful community, has the power to transform. We pledge ourselves and our resources to this journey. This covenant inspires and challenges us to dwell together in right relationship. We promise to extend hospitality, nurture community for all ages, encourage spiritual growth, honor diversity, and practice kindness.
At this time, I'd like to invite the young or the young at heart forward to participate in our story this morning. A little bit? Yeah. Hi, guys. Stool's a little higher than I'm used to. I'll get up here. So one of the things I was thinking about this week is that in American Indian culture, they integrate or weave throughout their belief systems that all things are connected. Sound familiar? Yeah, they believe that we are connected to the air, to the water, to the land, to the animals. And they believe that what happens and affects one creature, one life, then affects them all. The good things, but also the hurts. Can anyone give me an example of something that causes hurt when it affects others, not just ourselves? Elliot?
My brother.
Your brother? Sometimes siblings do, and then that hurt ripples out, and your parents feel bad too, right? What are some things that cause hurt to not just ourselves, but to others? America, the United States of America. Thank you, Blaze.
Leaving the lights on.
Leaving the lights on.
Yeah.
Good examples. These are things that ripple out and affect other people and other things. But another cool thing about the American Indian culture is that their belief is not just connected to things that are alive right now, okay? They are also connected to the ancestors and to those that are not yet born, to things that are not yet here, the future, right? So the Iroquois and the Ojibwe and other Indian tribes encourage you and others and their leaders to consider the generations that came before us and also the generations that are yet to come when we make decisions, when we make important decisions. So I wonder what you think about that. Why do you think that might be important? Anybody have a thought on that? Joe?
Because like the more people that you have, the more work that can get done, and like the more, because also when like animals die, they're gonna eat them.
The circle of life, when animals pass away and they are nourishment for the future, right? For something to grow after them. Anybody else? So things like how we treat the environment, how people can carry a hurt in their bodies that affects them and affects others. These are the things that we should consider when we are making decisions, because it can take a really long time to heal those hurts, right? And we need to be mindful about the decisions we make about the environment and the choices we make about our behaviors with others and the laws that we create. It's a big deal because those decisions affect someone who is not even born yet, right? And sometimes when the hurts are big, healing can take generations, can take a very, very long time. And we, as a justice-seeking group of people, are trying to heal the hurts that were started a long time ago. Like the hurt of forcefully taking the land from Native Americans, people who were here before we were here. And the hurts of racism. These are the things we're still working on, right? And one of the ways that we can help start to heal those hurts from previous generations is to say it out loud and to speak the truth. Say, this happened and it was wrong. And to try to understand how that hurt happened. This helps us to make sure that we don't continue those hurts, right? That the people before us did. And it helps the hurt to heal even just a little bit. It helps us to do better, make better choices. So what are some of the things that we are making decisions about today that we should be careful and consider our generations before and our generations after? What are some of those things we're making decisions about right now? Anybody? Y'all are in class too, by the way. Trish?
Factory farming of animals and the cruelty involved in the damage to the environment.
Factory farming of animals and the damage it creates to animals and to the environment. Women's rights. Fossil fuels. Elliot. Deforestation. The banning of trans care rights. Practically everything, says Joe. I agree. All of these things. All of this is hard work. This is really, really hard work that we're doing. And we have to do that hard work. We know that we have to do it. It's our responsibility to do it. So now I'm wondering, how do we find hope? How do we find joy when we have all of this really big stuff to do and all of these hurts to heal? Got any ideas? What?
Get a hilarious child.
Get a hilarious child. I like it. We've got a couple of those here. Trish? Eat less meat.
Oh, I know. Be more careful of what you do.
Be careful of what you do. How do you find that joy, my friends? Well, one of the ways we can help is to connect with each other, okay? One of the ways we can find hope is to connect with what we're grateful for. We can take time and feel how we're connected in this room and beyond. So before we end this today and take these, and you guys all go off to your classes, I thought we might try an exercise where we all connect together. So I hope that you will join me. Let's feel how connected we are right now to each other. And let's experience something together, all right? So I'd like you to begin by thinking of all of the things or people or places that you are connected to. Let's just take a moment and close our eyes and think of the things that are important to you, that help you to feel connected. And I want you to help me to embody a rhythm around those things. Let's begin a rhythm. Use your hands, use your chest, slap your thighs, use your feet. However you want to make a rhythm, just make a rhythm. Feel the rhythm of the whole room. And shout into this space the ways we are connected, the ways we have joy. We're connected through love. Trees. Friendship. Music. Chicken nuggets. Peace. Keep making your rhythm, friends. Dancing. Family. Life. The air. The water. The fire. Learning. Animals. The things we have in common. Let's bring this down. Slow it down, because we're also connected through rest. When we work hard, there is time, and ancient wisdom tells us we also rest together. Wonderful, thank you. Thank you for taking a moment to connect the room together this morning. I am so grateful to be connected to each and every one of you. And as we keep doing this work of love and justice together, I wonder what rhythms of the past and present and future you might call on in your life to help you connect and move forward with hope in your heart as we do this hard work. Let's sing our children to their classes, shall we? We will sit for the first verse and walk on the second.
You are the light of our lives. You are our hope for the future. Your song fills the air with the love that you share. So thank you. You are the light of our lives. You are our hope for the future. Your song fills the air with the love that you share. So thank you.
Each week, we create a time of shared stillness for prayer, gratitude, reflection, or meditation. We pause to remember who we truly are and reconnect with the sacred mystery that is at the very heart of life itself. Let's enter a period of silence. We take time now to honor one another's journeys in the spirit of being a community of compassion and care, where we both give and receive care. We take time to share those sorrows and struggles that are in our hearts right now. Cheryl is recovering in rehab and would love visitors. You can sign up for visitation on Facebook or see Trudy. Trudy, you want to raise your hand for people? She also has information about how to do that. And Cheryl, we're all thinking of you and hoping your healing goes well and goes quickly and that you are feeling more yourself soon. Elliot shares a concern that his family is going to be moving to Cleveland. Big change coming up for Elliot and his whole family, and we hold you close as we think about you as you're working through that transition. Wendy and Lori share that Wendy's aunt, Lori Merkin, passed away on Tuesday. May her memory be as a blessing. Yes, and our hearts go out to you, Lori and Wendy, as we know you are grieving now. Raven was concerned that this was the day to sing, but that's next week, Raven, so you've not missed anything. And Wendy is also expressing concerns for Cheryl, saying, thinking of you, Cheryl, wishing you healing, love, and joy. And which rehab facility, you can get that on Facebook or from Trudy. I'm not sure I have the name right, so I don't want to say it here. And Cheryl is at Talmadge Health and Rehab. We take now a moment for prayer. Spirit of life and love, draw near. We see so much brokenness in our world. We grieve for those whose lives have been lost or are in turmoil due to war, hunger, displacement, or fear. There is sorrow in our congregation. Some of us are facing illness, unexpected burdens, broken relationships, or painful losses. So many need our love right now. Spirit of life and love, help us to draw on our inner strength, our inner hopes, and our bonds with one another as we face the challenges in our lives. Remind us we're not alone and that we have power when we come together. Help us to bring comfort and peace to those who need it. Amen. Life also brings joy, wonder, and awe. We've experienced moments this week that lifted our spirits, and so we're going to take a moment to honor those moments of joy. And those on Zoom are welcome to share in the chat. Well, a moment of joy and celebration is that Jen Gregg, after her bumpy journey in and out of the hospital, is now back home. And Jen, we wish you all the best for the upcoming time of recovery. The Romes share a very important joy. 10 years ago today, they officially became a family. So this is their 10-year adoption day. Ooh. We celebrate that with you, and you bring such joy to our community, having your family with us on that journey. Thank you for sharing your journey with us. And Jennifer Gregg shared herself, I'm home recovering. So yeah, we're so happy about that. For the blessings we receive, including the gift of life itself, we give our thanks. Amen.
Placed upon the steps, and the baby cries. And high above, you can hear the church bells start to ring. And the heaviness, oh, the heaviness of the body settles in. And somewhere you can hear mother sing. And then it's one foot as you step out on the road. As you step out on the road, how much weight, how much weight. And then it's how long and how far and how many times. Oh, before it's too late. All angels, calling all angels, walk me through this one, don't leave me alone. Calling all angels, calling all angels, we're trying, we're hoping, we're not sure how this goes. Oh, and every day you gaze upon the sunset with such love and intensity. Why, it's almost as if you could only crack the code, then you might finally understand what it all means. Oh, and if you could, do you think you would trade it all the pain and suffering? Oh, but then you'd miss the beauty of the light upon this earth and the sweetness
Our first reading today is from the Reverend Takahashi. Life embraces multiple truths, speaks of both and of and. We are taught to see in absolutes, good versus evil, male versus female, old versus young, gay versus straight. Let us see the fractions, the spectrum, the margins. Let us open our hearts to the complexity of our worlds. Let us make our lives sanctuaries to nurture our many identities. The day is coming when all will know that the rainbow world is more gorgeous than monochrome, that a river of identities can ebb and flow over the static, stubborn rocks in its course, that the margins hold the center. And our second reading by Daniel Gregor is A Cause for Thanksgiving. Living in the beautiful hill country of central Massachusetts, in the very heart of New England, it feels like history is very close to the surface, ever present and alive. History is very present with me now as we approach an anniversary in our national and religious history. 2020 will mark the 400th anniversary of the landing of the Mayflower at Provincetown, and then Plymouth, here in Massachusetts. The mythos attached to that fateful day serves as the basis for the Thanksgiving holiday many of us will celebrate this week, although others will rightfully mark the holiday with mourning and with tributes to the people who were nearly wiped out by imperialism. All of this converges into history that is still present and impossible to escape. Most of us are not pilgrims, Puritans, colonists, or even Christian, yet the legacy of those traditions are still with us. They compose the roots of the institutions we have built up and sustain. Still, too many would prefer to ignore certain aspects of Thanksgiving. Why mar the image we have of ourselves as blameless, as good people, by bringing up this complex and tragic chapter, one of far too many in our history? This intersection of history and culture leaves me with ambivalence and discomfort, but it feels generative. I'm strangely excited about this particular moment of discomfort because something new could come out of it, something like healing. This is our opportunity to reimagine what Thanksgiving could be, and by extension, who we could be. What would it mean to mourn with those who are mourning? What would it mean to jettison the mythos of Thanksgiving and even replace the traditional meal with a vigil in Plymouth led by the United American Indians of New England? If you can't join me in Plymouth, perhaps you'll join me in spirit by asking these questions. Our knowledge of the wrongs of the past and the knowledge of the unearned benefits that inevitably come from those wrongs might help us to build true, lasting, and more authentic relationships both today and in the future. And that will be a cause for Thanksgiving. I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our reflection hymn number 5, It's Something to Have Wept.
Thanksgiving, family, home, gratitude and celebration, unconditional love, belonging. It is good to give thanks, to recognize the abundance surrounding us, to share in the beauty of belonging to one's whole, holy and precious self, to a family of birth or choice that embraces us as we are and supports our growth, to a place of sustenance that resonates as home. But it's not that simple. All are fraught, containing and in some cases even built on pain and betrayal and rejection. Those pretty easy pictures we like are glossy surfaces, but the reality is much more human, containing both the best of us and the worst. So as we enter the season of traditions, it's important to understand both the value and function of traditions generally and the actual traditions we are using and building upon without necessarily looking at or understanding them. Traditions are critical to humans. They're a basis for the culture that underpins our sense of community and belonging, and they pass on our most important gifts, truths, and experiences. But so too can traditions unthinkingly pass on our most critical mistakes, biases, and harmful beliefs. Cultural anthropologists recognize that culture is a fragile phenomenon. It is constantly changing and easily lost because it exists only in our minds. But that is also exactly what makes culture and tradition able to adapt and grow. Because traditions embrace the best of what makes us human and form us into communities, I think traditions of giving thanks need to be retained. They are powerful ways to build and define communities to which we want to belong and contribute. But to paraphrase that great philosopher, the unexamined tradition is not worth living. Traditions are also a powerful tool used to exclude from community. And so understanding where our traditions come from can be both a lovely and quite painful excavation of how we have chosen to define ourselves. That's why it's important to examine traditions, to stop perpetuating the terror and error they transmit, to claim and refine the worthy values and aspirations they invite us to practice, to build a living tradition, drawing ever closer to living as a beloved community of justice and universal belonging. This is a quintessential you understanding of tradition. We subscribe to the living tradition, right? One that has deep roots and one that responds to changes and realities by divesting, hopefully, of what is not truth, but self-justification. What does not contribute to growth, but to stagnation? What does not call us into love and community, but into competition, or worse? Why should we have to revisit the shame, betrayal, and rejection that underlie so many of our warm, fuzzy, personal, and traditional myths? Well, because, as James Baldwin said, if we can change the way that we or others look at reality even by a millimeter, then we can create change and change the world. We sell ourselves short and do ourselves a great disservice by trying or wishing to deny the complexity, gloss over the pain and ugliness of false myths, whether they are myths personal to us and our families, or collective myths, like the ones surrounding the Pilgrims' Thanksgiving. And by refusing to see and own hard truths, we actively re-inflict pain on others and ourselves, and deny ourselves the opportunity to grow, heal, and experience joy. Two years ago this weekend, our family accompanied my father-in-law in his dying. And 30 years ago this same month, we accompanied my own father in his dying. And you know, everything just cracks wide open. There is a profound love for the ones lost as well as the ones remaining that is only possible during the raw, shared experience of grief and loss. You know, I just felt myself like one of that great empathetic human family that participating in death and remembrance can immerse us in. And as I'm sure you have done, we shared time and stories, we laughed, we cried, because grief opened us to being utterly and deeply connected. Many of the veils of separation and individuality just part and leave us together in an intimacy you can wish for, but you can seldom achieve unless you are swimming in that profound paradox of grieving. It is a transcendent experience, precisely because, not despite, it's being so utterly human. And much of Thanksgiving tradition in the U.S. is rooted in complexity and the real difficulty we as humans have in finding what binds us together, especially during hard times, times of scarcity and loss, slaughter and division. And you know, our own Unitarian roots helped create those false myths. We were integral to both the genocide and the land stealing that ensued and still continues, and also to the creation and the perpetuation of the false myths and traditions that let us ignore those truths. It was in 1841 that a Unitarian minister, Alexander Young, published the first account of that 1621 lovely Thanksgiving story we know. Having discovered a journal from a pilgrim, Edward Winslow, which contained 4 sentences basically saying there had been a military alliance with the Wampanoag, and then the tribe members came to celebrate the harvest. And from that, Young created that warm story of communal sharing and feasting among the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag. A creative stretch that had the benefit of easing our national guilt over our treatment of other peoples and made us more comfortable with our roots. But in contrast to that false narrative, Thanksgiving also has wonderful truths and traditions that underpin it, ones that have been lost and ones that are worth claiming. They actually give us a way to start righting those wrongs by embracing gratitude with humility, trusting in the abundance of this beautiful land and our diverse peoples, allowing us to share and repair in ways that are not frightening but empowering, and opening us to expanding communal traditions to include all. We know that the forebears of the Pilgrims and the Pilgrims actually celebrated days of Thanksgiving in humble acknowledgement that they did not create their own abundance. And here's a new one, usually by fasting. We know the Wampanoag celebrated days of Thanksgiving 13 times a year in cycle with the stages of the moon. Rituals thanking nature for her gifts of that time. And mixed feelings are also part of our official Thanksgiving tradition. When Lincoln created the National Day of Thanksgiving in 1863, it was after Gettysburg, the massive losses of the Civil War. It was a time of terrible hardship, division, slaughter, and uncertainty. But we were willing to find in our values and the gifts bestowed on us a cause for gratitude and change. In the proclamation, while reciting the country's many blessings, Lincoln also recommended that Americans give thanks, quote, with humble penitence for our national perverseness and disobedience. Now, these are real and worthy traditions of Thanksgiving, arising from division and death and scarcity by celebrating the gifts of human relationships, whether deep or tenuous, with each other, honoring the land and sharing in its fruits, and connecting with something greater than ourselves. Thus, we can find gratitude during hardship and complexity, coupled with a reverence for how beauty and goodness and love and hope persist in community. So let us not force ourselves to choose between a day of Thanksgiving and a day of mourning. Gratitude and grieving allow us to have both. To remember, to recognize and praise abundance, to own the grief and the pain and the loss that so often in human history underpins our gifts and victories. To understand that we are able to contribute to creating a strong and true home and family for all, and to build something new and true. I am not suggesting that we smush together Thanksgiving and the day of mourning, or that we co-opt the day of mourning. No, I am suggesting that we find ways to honor both, fully and reparatively, to purge our own Thanksgiving tradition and rebuild it with roots of gratitude and honesty. We can't start over. We must work with the truth of what we have done and use the many blessings and gifts we are given to do that hard work of rebuilding. Nothing true is uncomplicated. New foundations can't be laid until the old foundations are excavated and repaired. And we also can't just decide, well, build beside, right? Substitute a new false and pretty narrative, a comfortable, incomplete history, or an uncomplicated harvest feast. We have to face it. When we create and nourish pretty surfaces, we lose the sacred roots, which are the best parts. They are what allow tradition to be meaningful and even to exist. Putting energy into the denial and fanciful wishes can hollow out the time and the community and our gratitude, failing to give us the sustenance we need to continue repairing and building ongoing relationships. We can be honest and be grateful. We can be grateful for complexity, to know and tell the real story of Thanksgiving, to pass on traditions of love, sharing, and belonging that build ever more inclusive communities of belonging. We can rejoice in the many blessings of our lives without denying the sins of our culture, selves, and nation. We can choose to use gratitude and humility and the comfort of our loving relationships with each other to see a future worth the hard work of justice, dismantling white supremacy, accepting accountability, making reparations. These are the traditions to continue and to build upon. If grief has taught me anything, it is that we are strong enough to own and absorb the pain of great loss, and brave enough to together fashion a future. So as we grieve the losses in the United American Indian Day of Mourning, we can also celebrate a thanksgiving for the gifts of harvest, home, and family. Let Thanksgiving be both a day of mourning and a day of gratitude that does not split us into two groups, one experiencing sorrow and the other happiness, but form us into one, experiencing the pain and the beauty of our shared, flawed humanity and past, and living into the promise of abundance and transformation. We will always have cause to mourn, rifts to heal, but so do we always have cause for gratitude and gifts to embrace. Grieving and giving thanks is holy work, a source of joy. Be not afraid. We are in it together.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Maya Angelou says, I have found that among its other benefits, giving liberates the soul of the giver. Our offering is a chance to foster our own liberation by directing our generosity to something that is important to us, this church. Contributions to our church budget are gratefully received. And you may also contribute to our special offering that benefits a nonprofit agency. Our November special collection is for Kent Social Services. They commit to feeding the body and spirit of vulnerable people in the community through the provision of hot meals, groceries, and a caring attitude.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, the far-off song that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What through the tempest loudly roars, I hear the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close, songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble sick with fear and hear their death knells ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? In prison cell and dungeon pile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends my shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing? My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, the far-off song that hails the new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing?
As our service draws to a close, I'm sorry, much later than many of you probably planned, I invite you to read with me the words for extinguishing our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. May we carry these in our hearts and minds until we are together again. And now, one last chance for us all to sing. Please rise in the ways that you are able. For our closing hymn, Love Will Guide Us. Go in peace, and may gratitude and grief transform us and our world, as in these words by Lynn Riggs, who's a poet of Cherokee descent. The rhythm of rain. Out of the barrenness of earth and the meager rain, mile upon mile of exultant fields of grain. Out of the dimness of morning, sudden and stark, a hot sun, dispelling the hushed dark. Out of the bleakness of living, out of the unforgivable wrongs, out of the thin, dun soil of my soul, these songs